Good morning. Thank you for joining me, Dr. Sandy C., here in the Beyond the Doctor's Lounge podcast. Our topic of discussion today is going to be your quick start to your non-clinical career pivot. Whether you're a doctor who's considering leaving clinical medicine altogether or pivoting your career such that you're practicing on your own terms, you're going to find helpful, actionable tips during this episode to get you started. In talking to a lot of women physicians in my group, as well as women physicians who I have managed to connect with and network with, I find that one of the greatest barriers in their career transition is just taking those first steps. And I get it, I've been there too. About 2 years ago, I made the decision that I wanted a life change. Call it midlife crisis, I don't know. But no, seriously, for a number of reasons, I decided that full-time clinical practice was not what was best serving me at this point in my life. I had a wonderful career taking care of so many wonderful patients and having the opportunity to interact with so many brilliant doctors. I felt very fulfilled, and I felt that it was okay for me to practice differently if I wanted to. Having gone through that phase of my life and having successfully pivoted my clinical career to a non-clinical career, I am now wanting to reach back and reach out and help other women physicians and other physicians as a whole do the same if they desire to. Are you a doctor who is quitting medicine or thinking about pivoting your career such that you practice medicine on your own terms? Well, keep watching because we're going to talk about your first steps and how you can get started on your career pivot. To say that a career pivot for a physician who has likely spent their entire life working toward the goal of becoming a doctor is overwhelming is an understatement. When you find yourself even wanting to consider a change, there's often a lot of resistance inside. There can be a feeling of guilt because you put so many years toward your career. Your family, your friends have had so many hopes in you being a successful doctor. Chances are you have reached a point of success in your career, but that doesn't mean that you can't look outside of traditional medicine and discover other roles where you can take your skills that you've gained in clinical practice and use them in a different setting. I did a previous video discussing mindset shifts that I felt were necessary when you're considering a career pivot. So many of us feel locked in place and stuck because of what we call or what others call the golden handcuffs. Medicine definitely has its challenges, but yes, it definitely has its rewards. Emotional rewards, fulfillment. It feels good to take care of patients in whatever capacity you're practicing medicine. And you feel proud of the work you do, and you should. Likely you are making a positive difference in this world. Even if you're not currently a practicing physician, chances are you and your family and your friends are benefiting from your medical knowledge. Oftentimes in our medical career, we may not have had much of a job hunt in finding our first job. Many times coming out of residency, we already know what city we want to live in. Perhaps you want to move back closer to your family. Maybe you have aging relatives or grandparents at that point in life that you want to be close to. Perhaps you've already started your family or you're planning to start your family and you want to be near relatives who can help support you in that. So basically, many times our paths are already carved out. We already many times know at least a short list of cities that we want to live in, and then we start applying for jobs in those areas. Sometimes we already know people there, and many times I feel like we don't have a huge job hunt coming out of residency. I mean, everyone's situation is different, but I think for many of us, our paths are carved out coming out of residency. So if you're considering a non-clinical career pivot, you might find yourself at a bit of a loss when it comes to figuring out what the first steps are in seeking this non-clinical career. I believe that step number one is thinking about your why. Why are you pivoting career? The reason I think it's important to consider your why is because all along your journey, you're going to need to lean on your why when you're deciding what types of jobs to pursue, when you are maybe considering various job offers that may come along, both during your non-clinical career hunt, as well as offers that you're approached with even while you're already in your non-clinical career. It's important to know why you're pivoting. Are you seeking a lifestyle change? Do you want less stress? Do you desire to have a more regular schedule so that your life is more in sync with your family members? Know your why. Are you looking for flexibility? Do you want to be a digital nomad? Do you desire to be home with your family and maybe stationed in a home office like the one I'm sitting in now? Are you burnt out and you need a breather? So if you're burnt out, you want to definitely consider that. It doesn't mean you shouldn't pivot your career, but it definitely means that you need to avoid jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. So certainly if you're burnt out, address that burnout before, during, and after this career pivot. I would like for you to grab a piece of paper or your memo or your notes app on your phone and write down your top 3 to 5 whys as to why you are pivoting to a non-clinical career. Go ahead and write down 3 to 4 whys and keep them someplace where you can reference them. If you're using a notes program, make it a favorite, make it easy so that you can refer back to this along your journey. Number 2, as you get ready to embark on your career pivot journey, you're going to definitely want to identify your transferable career skills. In all your years of practice, medical school, residency, private practice, or practice as an attending, you have developed a lot of skills. Most likely you have some degree of people skills. That varies among individuals. You probably have some degree of people skills. You know how to use electronic medical records. You've probably been on the phone with insurance companies. You've probably led other medical staff, such as nurses and aides and other people, social workers who are on your team who are looking to you for decision making. You're going to want to take some time and think about what your transferable skills are that will still be valuable in the non-clinical arena. Remember, anyone who's hiring a physician outside of traditional clinical medicine, they're looking to hire a doctor because they need those skills that you have earned and that you have developed while practicing medicine. If you check out the description below, I do have a PDF with AI prompts to help you to identify what those transferable skills are that will be helpful in your non-clinical career pivot. So go ahead and check out that download it, grab your favorite AI, ChatGPT, whatever you like to use, and that can really help jumpstart you and help you start the thought process of identifying your transferable skills. Step number 3. Now that you have thought about your why, hopefully started addressing any burnout that you might be facing, or at least have a plan to do so, and identify your transferable skills that will be marketable in your non-clinical career pivot, now you're going to want to explore your actual career options. You've already done some introspection. You already know what you want your life to look like on the other end of this pivot. You already know what your skills are, what your interests are. Maybe look back in your previous career or look back in your schooling. Did you like research? And as an attending, did you enjoy utilization management? Maybe talking to insurance companies, working with care management. Think about those things. And now that you've done that, start actually exploring your career options. Yes, there are definitely more physicians who are looking to leave full-time clinical medicine. Whether they're looking for a 100% pivot or a side gig that they can eventually pivot to full-time, yes, there are more people. However, there's still a lot of jobs. So go ahead and start your research. Get on websites such as, of course, LinkedIn. You all know how much I love LinkedIn. Indeed, Practice Link, Doximity, Facebook groups for physicians and physicians seeking a non-clinical career. Go ahead and start your research phase. Hey, I love AI. Get on ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT for some ideas. You might be surprised what they come up with. Go ahead and write a list of the career options that you're interested in at this point. Maybe it would be good to have a notebook, a journal, or something like that. If you're like me, your life is cluttered with journals and planners. Go ahead and start networking and starting to get to know other physicians who are on your path. Step 4. Okay, so at this point, we have worked on our mindset, we've identified our why, we've started a plan to address any burnout that might be underlying, and we have started identifying our transferable skills that will be helpful in our non-clinical career pivot. So at this point, you're ready to take off. If you have made the decision to start truly exploring your non-clinical options, now is time to really take your first concrete steps. Of course, you know that you need to dust off that old CV. Yes, that CV that you might not have looked at for 5 to 10, maybe even 15 years. Go ahead and dust that off. Start just informally updating it. If you have it in Word or whatever your program is you like to use, start informally updating that document. Doesn't have to be beautiful. Right now, you just want to start shaving off maybe things that are old and outdated and irrelevant, and start adding details like what committees you've sat on, what initiatives in your hospital you've been a part of, any awards, recognitions, publications. If you have not been keeping your CV up to date, which is likely you have not been doing if you've been happy previously or settled in your job, go ahead and start doing that. Start dusting it off. Don't overthink this phase. Don't get overwhelmed. No one's going to see this version of your CV. This is for your own reference. The next step is that you are going to want to get a formal new CV and really a resume made. Some people do this for themselves, and that's great. I did hire someone to help me, and she was a wonderful lady who sat down with me and went through my transferable skills. She looked at my old resume / CV, well, actually my old CV, and she started the process of updating this for me. She helped me so much. She helped me to update my LinkedIn. So you can definitely do all of these things yourself, but if you find that this is a sticking point where you are getting hung up and having trouble moving forward just because of your lack of time or ability to update your CV yourself, go ahead and just hire someone to help you with that. Nothing wrong with that. Now that you have your CV, your resume, you're going to want to go ahead and update or establish your LinkedIn profile. I have another video giving LinkedIn tips, so take a look at that. I'm not going to go in depth in this video. Now that you have your CV, your resume, you've identified where other physicians who are like-minded are hanging out, again, start networking, start getting to know people. If you don't like the word networking, start socializing. And when you find a safe place, start revealing to people that you're interested in this pivot. You're looking for opportunities or even ideas. I myself have gotten, on Zoom with women physicians who are interested in career pivots, and sometimes I'm able to give them ideas that maybe they didn't think of on their own, or at least point them toward resources. So you'll find that people who are like-minded, who are also on a non-clinical journey, can be quite open and giving of themselves. So, don't be afraid. It's not like you're calling someone for a consult in the middle of the night. It's not the same situation. Go ahead and start networking, and when you find a safe place, get to know people who are doing the same thing or who have successfully done what you're trying to do. I hope that you find these steps and these tips helpful in actually jump-starting your career search. I didn't really go much into the career search itself, but obviously before you submit your first CV or cover letter or answer your first recruiter who reaches out to you, you're going to want to get these things in place. Oftentimes as physicians, it does take several months, even a year or more to make this pivot. So I hope that you are able to have that sort of runway, either that you're able to stay maybe in your current job until you can plan this pivot, or that you have the appropriate support and emergency fund maybe to be able to step away from medicine if that's what you need to do. But either way, I definitely don't want you to be pursuing this pivot in a vacuum. Connect with like-minded people. If you are a woman physician who is interested in a non-clinical pivot, or if you're a woman physician who has already successfully completed your non-clinical career pivot, please join us in the Beyond the Doctor's Lounge Facebook group. We're small but mighty. We're what I like to call a nano group. Right now we're very small, but we're already networking. People are already reaching out for help, asking questions, getting their questions answered. We're already sharing tips and tricks. So if that description fits you, go ahead and check out our Facebook group. And if you're interested in any sort of handouts, there's also going to be a printable with these tips on it for your reference. Go ahead and check out the description and we'll tell you how to get your hands on that. Thank you for joining. Take care of yourself. Take care of your patients.